Okay guys, I really quickly wanted to go through the live lesson that we went through today at 10 o'clock because when I went to post the video, it was about 34 minutes long. And in Mrs. Brown's experience, most 6th grade students are not going to watch a video that lasts for 34 minutes. So I'm hoping to make this one a little bit shorter as we go through really quickly. There are going to be times when I ask you to pause the video and go ahead and work some workout on your own paper and then come back to check your answer. So let's get started. Again, this is live lesson 1, and it was over multiplying fractions, which is what we are working in this week for rational number operations if you are staying on pace with the scope and sequence. All right, so this is your review from 5th grade. In 5th grade, you learn how to multiply a fraction by a whole number. So what I would like for you to do really quickly is to try to solve this problem. Go ahead and pause your video right here for a second and try to solve the problem that we are working on. Once you have an answer, come back, restart the video, and we will go over your answer together. So again, pause right now, solve this question, and then unpause your video. All right, so we went over a question today in class, but what I'm going to do is go ahead and skip over this question, the activity part of it, and just present the question to you in a second. So here we go. All right, we have 2/7 times 3. First, we're going to start by converting the whole number 3 into a fraction. You do that by putting the number over 1, which we can also call dividing the number by itself. So our problem becomes 2/7 times 3 over 1. All right, now you can apply the rule. So first we're going to multiply the numerators, that's 2 times 3. And then we will multiply the denominators, that's 7 times 1. And when we do 2 times 3, we get 6. And when we do 7 times 1, we get 7. So my answer for 2/7 times 3 is 6/7. All right, we like to show you the meaning by multiplying fractions. So what we need to look at now is multiplying fractions with an area model. So what you see represented in red is 2/3, and what you see represented in purple is 3/4. And when we multiply or combine the drawings, some people will call this purple fractions, or you'll hear it called that. But when we lay them over the top of each other, we will multiply the 2/3 times 3/4, and it's actually called purple products. When we look at the purple part of it, we have 6 out of the 12 that are purple. So if we apply that to the question, 2/3 times 3/4, 2 times 3 is 6, and 3 times 4 is 12, and that is how we come up with the purple products page, 6/12. All right, so let's look at this for a second, okay? Okay, so when multiplying fractions together, we multiply the numerators together, and then we multiply the denominators together as followed. So we use this rule whenever we multiply fractions together. If my fraction was a over b times c over d, I would do my numerators first with a times c, and then I would do my denominators second with b times d. I multiply the numerators together, and then I multiply the denominators together. And that's what you see pictured in this notes page. Okay, we're going to start another activity. What I'm going to ask for you to do is to look at this activity for a second. Okay, so we're going to look at the problem 3/4 times 1/2. So I would like for you to really quickly to pause your screen to solve 3/4 times 1/2, and then we will go over the answer together. So again, 3/4 times 1/2. Go ahead and pause. Okay, once you pause, you should see it written like this, 3/4 times 1/2. And again, sometimes you just see the little dot in place of the multiplication sign in 6th grade. They both mean the same thing. 3/4 times 1/2 is equal to 3 times 1 over 4 times 2. And if I multiply my numerators first, 3 times 1 is 3, and 4 times 2 is 8. So my answer should be 3/8. All right, we're going to look at another question. This time I would like you to look at 5/6 times 3/4. Go ahead and pause your screen for a second, solve the problem, and we'll come back and we will answer it. Again, you should have paused your screen, and this is what we come up with. 5/6 times 3/4. We multiply 5 times 3, and then we multiply the denominators of 6 times 4. 5 times 3 is 15, and 6 times 4 is 24. But some of you might be saying, wait a second, Mrs. Brown, we can simplify 15/24 even further. And that is correct. We can do that. Sorry guys, I'm using 2 computers to make this happen, and my other computer just froze for a second. All right, so let's look at this. There is still one more step. We sometimes call this simplifying fractions. We call this reducing, but both 15 and 24 are divisible by 3, which means that we can simplify them into 15 divided by 3 is 5, and 24 divided by 3 is 8. So we can simplify that to be 5/8. In my classroom, if you got 15/24, your answer would not be incorrect, but I would ask you to go back and simplify it further. Okay, let's look at the next one. Now we're going to talk about a mixed number. Mixed number is a number consisting of an integer. Remember that we learned about those last week. Like 3, and a proper fraction like 2/5. Okay, so we see that in the example here. Remember that integers include whole numbers. So 3, you might be thinking, Miss Brown, 3 is a whole number, and that is true, but whole numbers are classified as an integer. Okay, let's look at the next one. So for a second, this is how you convert a mixed number into an improper fraction. Mrs. Brown also has some notes for you under week 2, where there are 2 posters that explain this a little bit clearer, and if you want to look at those, that will probably help you as well. So let's talk about the mixed number. The first mixed number that we're looking at, that's modeled in that fraction down there, is 2.5. So what you're going to do first is multiply the whole number, which is 2, by the denominator in your fraction, which is also 2. So 2 times 2 is 4, plus your numerator, which is 1, will be 5. And your denominator won't change. So your denominator will still be 2. So 2.5 changes to an improper fraction of 5/2. And you can also see that modeled right here in this question for you. Okay. All right, guys. So what I would like for you to look at first is 4 2/3 as an improper fraction. So I'm going to ask you to go ahead and pause your video here so you can have a chance to work it out. So go ahead and pause. And then when you come back on and listen to the rest of the video, we'll go over your answer. So pause right here. All right, so we're going to go over the last problem really quickly. We had 4 2/3. So the first thing we're going to do is multiply the whole number by the denominator. So 4 times 3 is 12. Then we're going to add in the numerator. Okay, so 12 plus 2 is 14. And like I mentioned before, the denominator does not change, so that would be 14/3. So the mixed number, 4 2/3, is equal to 14/3 would be the improper fraction. All right, we're going to look at another activity. Sorry, guys. All right, so let's look at this really quickly. We're going to take the mixed number of 2 1/3, and we're going to multiply that by 5 2/5. When I go ahead and I convert them to improper fractions, that would give me 7/3 times 27 over 5. Okay? Sorry. All right, so draw on the slide and multiply the fractions below. So what we're going to do first is multiply 7 times 27. And those can kind of be a large number. So in a second, we're going to talk about what we can do to make those smaller numbers. So 27 times 7 is going to give me 189. Okay. And then 3 times 5 would give me 15. So I would end up with the fraction 189/15 as my improper fraction. In a second, we're going to talk about how to make those numbers a little bit smaller. So we can use cross cancellation to solve the problem below. So you see 6/10 times 2/14 on your screen. So what you're going to do is you're going to be able to simplify these fractions, but you're going to simplify them diagonally. So we're going to look first at the yellow numbers, 10 and 2. Those are both even numbers. So that tells me that they are divisible by at least 2. All right, so they're divisible by at least 2. 2 divided by 2 would be 1, and 10 divided by 2 would be 5. Then we're going to look at the blue numbers of 6 and 14. Again, they are both even, so I know that they can be simplified by a 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and then 14 divided by 2 is 7. I can stop there because 3 and 7 are both prime numbers, and I know they can't be simplified any further, which presents itself with a new problem. Then we should have 3/5 times 1/7. And this makes it a little bit easier to multiply. 3 times 1 is 3, and 5 times 7 is 35. So the answer to this problem would be 3/35. All right, let's keep looking. Again, this is another notes page about how to complete a mix, or how to change a mixed number to an improper fraction. Okay, so another notes page with that. And you can pause that and look at that at any time if you need to come back and reference this. Okay, so let's walk through what we did a couple of slides ago. And this time we're going to use cross cancellation to make it a little bit easier. So we already know that 2 and 1/3 is equal to 7/3. And 5 and 2/5 is equal to 27/5. So if I look at this for a second and I have 7/3 times 27/5, I know that 3 and 7 can both be, I'm looking at my diagonal numbers, they are both divisible by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 27 divided by 3 is 9. All right, so let's look at that for a second. This is what you see. You should see 7/3 times 27/5 on your screen. I'm going to walk through simplifying that with you really quickly. All right, here's my simplification slide. So like I just said, I can simplify. Let's look in the middle right here, and I have 7/3 times 27/5. I know that 3 and 27 are both divisible by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 27 divided by 3 is 9. So now I can multiply straight across. 7 times 9 is 63, and 1 times 5 is 5. So that would give me 63/5. However, I can't leave my answer in an improper fraction, so I would have to convert it back into a mixed number. And the way that I do that is to divide 63 by 5, because remember, a fraction can be, you can use that fraction bar as a division symbol. So 63 divided by 5 would give me 12. 5 times 12 is 60. If I subtract that, 63 minus 60 would give me 3. And I have 3 out of 5 left over. So my answer for my mixed number would be 12 and 3/5. Okay, this is a multiplication, just a review page of everything that we've talked about today. We talked about multiplying a fraction by a fraction. We've talked about multiplying a fraction by a whole number. And then we've talked about mixed numbers and multiplying those. Guys, my video will cut me off right here at about 15 minutes. So what I'm going to do is stop right here, upload a video, and then I will make another video to answer the last couple of questions, okay? So stay tuned for one more short video.